this is sort of a nightmare, because it is what actually happened when he sort of woke underwater trying to get out. He sees like there's eels and such that have somehow like been gnawing at him and such as he slowly digs his way out. But this time it's different, because this time when he finally gets up and claws his way up onto the beach, he sees that there, where usually there's nothing but cold sort of tundra and beach, now as he looks up, there's a skeletal rotting hand reaching down, and he takes it, and it sort of helps him up and standing. And standing there now, he's surrounded by thousands, hundreds of thousands of the undead, standing all there waiting for him to tell them what to do, waiting for him to lead them on. As he wakes up, he finds that, well, some of the knowledge he once held as a paladin has returned to him. Some of the power that he held has returned to him, as he has become a divinely gifted leader of men. He has achieved the domain of leadership and war, which allows him to, when he becomes a commander of men, which is when he, once per turn, when he makes a melee attack against the enemy, all allies gain a +1 attack bonus to hit that enemy until my next turn. Basically, as long as I keep attacking, I will mark an enemy that my allies can then hit better, allowing him to boost the chance that his undead hordes are gonna hit something. And the invocation of war, a battle cry that will, when used, increase the escalation die by 1. Gil has smiled upon him and blessed his purpose.
All right, I like that.
Well, Anrakyn has not had dreams or prophetic visions that he remembers, at least. He might have dreamt, you know. But he has gathered some new titles over the last few sessions. He is not only the Soul Stealer, he is also the Soul Forger, and all of this soul reaping has taught him a thing or two how to control and utilize and sort of squeeze that extra out of enemy souls and life essences. And as such, he has picked the feat to give him double the healing from Death Knell. He is just, everything is just so much juicier when he kills it, you know? He knows exactly how to draw out delicious souls out of people and filter it back to his dear friends.
All right. How about Halldamir?
Hirandor has a better ability with his cold breath. Sorry, my brain is not working. He can exhale more and stronger, making it target more people. Specifically 1d3. Like so.
All right. Talsiber?
Well, let's see. Gil-Galad today woke up in by a voice familiar to him and everyone else in the party. It was his own voice, actually, or at least the sound of it. And looking up, he saw a rather transparent image of himself. That image is visible to everyone else, of course, as well at that point. And there he realized that he's not alone anymore. There is part of him, basically, part of him that was forgotten from him. Part of him that existed perhaps for thousands of years ago. And it is now somehow again visible, somehow it's again here. And it is now traveling with him. In technical terms, that means I took another talent from the occultist, the Otherworld Shadow. This also allows, aside, another life form basically attached to this character, which the DM is of course able to perhaps, use as an interaction method if he wishes. It allows me to channel my pain, my injuries for a moment anyway, to that other part of myself with an interrupt action whenever I'm targeted by an attack or a number of attacks by a creature, and negate all that damage. It is a daily, of course.
Okay. TDS.
Talia, throughout the night, and after all that's happened, took some moments of reflection, going and spending longer than usual with her meditations. There's this time going slightly further and trying to gain a deeper connection with her divines, going back and re-performing her initiation ritual in a sense, though admittedly a smaller one, lighting the 5 candles before her, and let them ignite. Though of course this time they start with their strange blue flame. As through her prayers and with all that's happened here, her conviction has only become stronger that there is more troubles ahead that she needs to deal with. And through the extra conviction, her powers to convey it upon others and help smite down the foes who'd go against it have increased, gaining extra spell slot, giving her a 5th level slot to use, which she's put a javelin of faith into.
Okay. And after that, I think we should also have a recap. Maybe we should have had that first, but, what happened last session, I'm actually going to roll a die for this, otherwise the same few people who always do the recap are just going to volunteer again. This is going to be Talsiber.
Yes. Okay, let's see. Let me get my notes from last time. So last time, we kind of figured out that there is another group here, and some people actually were already informed about it. So we went ahead and kind of, found them when I think Hirandor, after scouting around for a while, saw them somewhere. Turns out they are the Order of the Scroll, and they are here looking for a scroll which has a painting made from Erasmus. The painting had some divination properties, I guess, supposed to perhaps show a possible future or something. And they seem to have a copy of it. Even the copy is somehow affected and it's changing, so they thought that, maybe the original is showing a much clearer image and we can figure out what is going to happen. In the meanwhile, they also told us that the Doom has probably disappeared. And although we haven't confirmed that yet, I believe, we did soak out to investigate and ran into a, I guess, green wielder, although it wasn't exactly, the general type of Taninim you see. It was, if I remember correctly, more crystallized.
Yep.
So perhaps an emerald or something. In any case, we fought with him and a couple of plant creatures. And it turns out that the wielders have taken, I suppose, or perhaps they have simply gone with the Doom to the Feywild, probably. And I'm not clear on the details, to be honest, but it kind of seems that there is some sort of an influence behind all of that, kidnapping the Doom, controlling the wielders and the Fey and the Guardians here. So we're, kind of swimming in theories right now, and perhaps we'll figure out what's going on soon enough. But for now, we kind of need the scroll first of all, I believe, and then maybe look for allies to help us in this fight.
Yes, and after you defeated the strange-looking green Talon last time, you, basically universally agreed that maybe it would be a good time to have a rest, especially because the people you've been traveling with, the Order of the Scroll, they all well, looked far more better than you were. And they very much agreed with maybe we should take a rest. This is And so we went out and looked for a reasonable camping spot. Going back to the last one wasn't really a good option because you would have had to travel through the center of the city again, down the huge steps in the middle, which undoubtedly would have attracted attention. So you just kind of looked for the next best thing, which has turned out to be a collapsed room in a sort of larger building, the purpose of which you couldn't really determine. But it was somewhat protected. It was open to the sky because the roof was collapsed, and looked like, well, that's probably going to get you through the night without being disturbed. And as it happened, that's exactly what happened. Because you, despite once again making a campfire, setting up your tents, and just relaxing really, nothing disturbed your sleep. There were the occasional moans and wails, which may have been the wind, or may have been something, and the sound of far off crumbling of stone and scratching of metal even. A lot of strange noises, certainly, but they are far from unusual in this particular place. And so the next morning comes, not really announcing itself with the rise of the sun, just more of a general increase in the ambient light level, if anything. Over the city is sort of this odd cloud cover almost, although it's not really a cloud because you can't see the start. It's more like a fog hanging over the entire city that has been here this entire time, creating this sort of twilight lighting. And so the morning has probably come, and you're awake. The people from the Order are doing random chores, such as cleaning their weapons, switching out their bandages, making food, and also slowly putting down the tents again, as despite this being a reasonably well-defended spot, it's not one that they seem to want to stay in long.
Graham, having sort of, basically zoned out for the night, having these memories flash up. He doesn't sleep, but sometimes he does this thing where he just sort of sits there looking out into the, just sitting there with open eyes. Memories basically playing out dreams and visions for him, putting him completely, he doesn't really know anything that's going on, right? Mm-hmm. It's the kind of thing you do when you're dead and time doesn't matter, and you can do it for days, really. Just fall back into the past and be there for as long as it would be. He's trained himself at this point, though, to not do that. At first, perhaps he would just sit there doing it for a week or so, and to him, no time would go past. But
then he noticed raccoons building a nest in his lap and stuff, and he's like,
"Whoa!" At this point, he sort of has, learned to snap out of it. Though this one has been a little more vivid than before. She just looks to Anrakyn, looking around, seeing that it's light now.
Yeah, Anrakyn has noticed this. This has happened from time to time with Graham. He knows what's going on. He knows the memories of the old man. Haunts him quite a bit, and he would have left him alone. And maybe sunk himself into stillness. Again, in that sort of way that, when he's around people, he sort of tries to not creep them out in a way. He tries to keep his breathing going and stuff like that, even though he doesn't need to. But in the dead of night, no one's looking at him. He just falls completely silent and sits there. He might just be a rock at that point, just not moving, not breathing, nothing. Just
corpse.
Just a corpse leaning against the wall, basically. So he hasn't done much either. Maybe introspection, maybe insights into how to reap souls better. Who can say? But seeing the camp stir, he will look at his companions and say, I do believe that we have a mission, yes, and we should not dally too long in this place. I'd rather we get it under with and done with as soon as possible.
You may also notice how Gil-Galad is currently almost frantically having a conversation with himself.
Well, he's gone crazy.
What's he telling himself about?
It seems that from, the one side, kind of the one who you can probably see quite clearly, there are a lot of questions about, some of them about the past, some of them about what is going on right now, and some of them like what is happening. And from the other sort of image you may see, although it is quite transparent, barely visible right now, you can also hear some responses, most of them rather cryptical and none of them really clear. Most of them seem to reassure that it is natural and it is the way it was perhaps supposed to be.
It's not like he is now proclaiming his allegiance to the old gods or anything. He's not screaming that the stars are right.
No,
Well, that's good. That's good. We might have had some problem otherwise. Anrakyn will throw a glance at Graham and then look over to Gil-Galad. He has never seen Gil-Galad talk to himself like this, being obviously different people inside one body. He was never a psychologist, but he's pretty sure that that's not healthy.
You can see basically let's call it an illusion if you want, kind of standing in front of him. Like I said, it is very transparent, at least in a bright light like this. So it is barely visible, but it is visible. And you can hear it. So it's not like he's going crazy, something is going on here. Although...
What's going on is he's going crazy.
That may be the answer, then again.
His fractured psyche is manifesting as an illusion. It is very tragic.
Perhaps.
There's only one solution, Graham. You know what to do.
Just done.
Make it quick.
Soon enough, though, after you remind, the group of, the hard duty, both of them will stop and turn and look at you. The rest of
It's so unnerving. Your ghost self is looking at me. I don't know. Can
The
Anrakyn,
eyes watch you all night.
can Anrakyn reap it? Is it that kind of spirit?
I don't think so.
No, but that's because it has more than 15 hit points left.
Maybe. You feel very, very connected to Gil-Galad's spirit in a sort of way, so he probably has as many hit points as Gil-Galad. It's more like they are the same person, really. In any case, Gil-Galad will nod and say, yes, this is... He will turn again to his illusion and say, this is a personal matter. It seems safe, I guess. It won't be a problem to us, he will say, and the illusion probably nods. If nothing else, maybe even an asset. And he will start packing.
Well, looking over to Hirandor, does he sleep a dragon sleep? Do we need to hit him or steal his treasure for him to sort of wake?
No, he's generally awake, just before dawn. And he's probably sulking at this point because he can't go and hunt, which is his usual thing to do in the morning. So he's kind of just sitting around, not really knowing what to do with himself. So, just watching everybody do their thing. He's usually doing something at this point, but he can't just leave. So yeah, he's just watching, sitting around, maybe eating something that he probably doesn't like too much.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What is
yeah.
there to catch around here? Are like rats the size of deer?
Well,
I mean-
in the city in particular, really nothing that even Hirandor would probably want to eat. There are sort of small animals like rats around, but they don't really look like they should.
Skeleton. That's
More like slightly decayed and like rotten slightly.
There's all those plants, if you like huge cabbages or.
He's more of a carnivore, really. He prefers uncooked cold meat.
We better watch out then.
yeah.
Because we
No,
are definitely cold over here.
He kind of makes the food cold. You know, cold breath
He
and
is his
everything.
own refrigerator.
He freezes things.
That's useful.
Yeah. So, you know, he's used to eating raw meat. Generally doesn't eat cooked. Finds it a waste of time. But, you know, maybe that's from his upbringing. Who knows?
It could.
Heard that he was a wilder for a while.
Well, I mean, your characters haven't.
That would.
But his size
explain
would let
a
us
lot.
assume certain things, because dragons only
Yeah.
grow if they're violent.
He was not a desk clerk, that's for sure.
No.
Perhaps he had to defend himself at some point.
Violent
It
desk
was-
clerk.
No, I got it. He was the problem was he was a dragon taxman. But the problem is everyone attacks the taxman.
That's what it is.
I don't know, those.
But then he wouldn't be silver,
Those.
and he would be like copper. Right?
No.
No,
yeah,
he would be
definitely.
black if he's a taxman. He'll be like, yes, the
I
money.
was thinking the architect. Like, seems like a tax kind of guy.
I don't know. Those dragon board meetings get violent. That's all I know.
The black one would just steal
Yeah.
all the money for himself.
I guess.
Like, you wouldn't trust the black taxman to be your
But then you-
taxman, would you?
Taxman dragon, have you stolen anything? No. But you've turned
No.
black a little bit. What? No. I mean,
That's
The
racist.
shadows.
that's racist. Oh no, black dragon stealing all the money. We need to switch
You
subject
can't
immediately.
discriminate and not hire
Switch
dragons because of
subject.
their color.
This is what happens, sheep, when you leave us like just talking. This happens. We need to go immediately.
Well,
Send us on adventure.
before you leave immediately, I would like all of you to roll me a d20 plus your wisdom and your level.
Okay.
Plus
All right.
wisdom plus level.
Yeah.
Do they realize that going into this is stupid? No.
You know,
I'm still so narrow.
apparently Talia is so focused on her meditation that she failed her best check.
Me?
All right.
So many sixes.
Gil-Galad during the night and even during the previous days would have most likely noticed something about your good old friend, the skeletal dragon. Because unlike during the initial trip to Sterlinghold, where he's just kind of walking and looking straight ahead, he has been more and more behaving differently, looking around kind of as if there was slightly more in its skeletal head than just the mindless whatever keeps him moving. Almost as if, well,
More alive?
as alive would be an overstatement, but certainly something that would go towards that direction.
More intelligent?
A trend that seems to be increasing, as during this breakfast, he is sitting, not really doing much, some distance like from the campfire away, but he does seem to just look around, looking towards you, looking back, things that he was definitely not doing before, rather preferring to just stare ahead.
Well, Gil-Galad is certainly going to bring that to everybody's attention and mention that he looks a lot more interactive lately.
He's like shy. No, don't say that.
Interesting choice of words. Talia says, finally opening her eyes from meditation, swiping the candles off, candles out.
Look to the dragon.
Have you ever
Does
seen
it
him
seem-
looking
Does it
around?
seem to be confused? Is that what it's doing? Graham was a little confused.
Have you ever seen him being confused before?
No. Look at it. You know. Perhaps it being here is having some effect after all.
Yes, what is weird, if the doom is not here.
Shrugs, perhaps it's being absolved from its duty, then. It was once a silver guardian, as I understand the tale.
Anrakyn shrugs and looks at it. It is home, and we have delivered it to where it was supposed to go. The doom is gone, and we can't do anything about that at the moment. He looks at the thing. It is fascinating as a study object and what it can do with necromancy, but honestly, I don't think we should fret too much over it.
Come nods. If he learns to speak, he will make it clear to us.
Or he can write or do something else. I am not sure what he expects of us. He has indicated that we should follow him before. If he does so again, we can certainly consider it. But, considering what the cost of following him has been, I am not too eager.
At least we have discovered this little issue of humanity being threatened.
Yes, we have a slightly clearer picture of what's going on, and that is good.
Then we'll look to the others, wait for them to finish their food. You know.
Humans.
Yeah.
Livies.
Hirandor is still sulking. So he's
You're still young, Anrakyn.
I know.
Gil-Galad is gonna ask
Sagely
again,
strokes his shin.
mostly to the necromancers, I suppose. Do you think it's possible to, talk to him or eat?
Anrakyn looks at it. If he feels around, is there anything in it? Like, is there a soul to reap inside that thing?
Is this? Could I target it with death?
Yeah, can it be targeted by death knell?
Technically
Let's-
anything can, right? Just life force.
Yeah, it's if it's life,
me-
it can technically be targeted.
Give me a skill check with your magical background.
Sure. Let's investigate with Anrakyn.
And let's use wisdom as the ability score here,
damn
because
it.
we're trying to feel around.
Oh god damn it.
How
Okay.
perceptive are you?
His hand up. We hear that, close the eyes, and you hear that thum sound. Very satisfying.
That's a natural 20. How
He
about the
knows
natural
everything.
20?
There.
All right, that's
Reveal to me your
that's a natural
secrets.
That's, the answer to your question would be yes and no. No, there's nothing in the skeleton. However, it looks to Anrakyn's arcane senses, or his necromantic energy sensor or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
as if there were strings attached, like a puppet. Where those are coming from, he can't really identify, but there's something influencing it. And with that kind of role, the strings, there's no evil feeling to them. There's certainly a sense of necromancy to them, as they are controlling an unliving thing. But it's more like it doesn't feel natural, but it doesn't feel wrong either.
Follow them. Strange.
Yeah, can they be followed?
Traced.
Where are the energies coming from?
Just like one of those, glimpses, and then he takes
Mm-hmm.
his hand to the head, like, ah!
It's like the Eye of Sauron, like, like oh, the power.
The strings don't go so much towards a location, but rather reaching into this world from another place, essentially. A place that could very well be some sort of afterlife, some sort of other plane, The difference Anrakyn can't really tell because he probably has never been in another plane.
Perhaps it has a silvery essence to it.
Maybe it comes
Or
from
a
a green
fey
place.
essence
Is there
to
like
it.
is there like a taste of like summer or like leaves
Silver
or
heaven,
anything?
or-
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like those plants felt that Anrakyn has already tasted the soul of. I think to remember.
So it's not from the Feywild, Anrakyn would guess then. I guess. All right.
So something from a different plane is trying to grasp it.
Yes. Anrakyn will tell the party all of this.
And we'll look at it and say, "You, Guardian." See if it reacts, basically.
It does not react. It in fact goes back to its like sort of just sitting there, looking towards Graham, but not really showing any understanding.
Is the connection like,
like-
does it have interference? Like, does it come and go, or is it just constant?
Is it a struggle, perhaps, to establish it?
Exactly.
Or
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, it is very weak.
can we bolster it?
Yeah, can we boost it somehow?
Maybe a ritual.
Let's see. Give me another roll for that.
Sure. Natural 20 only lasted me this long, damn it. Maybe we need some
Right
dragon
away.
blood. Yeah.
Maybe Hirandor can poke it. Who knows?
Dragon blood might be what we need.
Yeah. It was
Let's see.
silver, and we have silver blood, so maybe blood is life, Hirandor.
Right, a 16
Sacrifice.
will be a yes. You think you can, but it would require time and most likely a ritual involving Anrakyn's death knell. That would essentially make death knell unavailable until the next full heal up.
Oof.
But he thinks he could do it.
That's a lot.
Drag whatever soul into it. Seems to be a thing now, forging those.
I'm getting good at this.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you just turn one of these tiles into an actual new background for yourself?
Would be cool.
Anrakyn Soulsmith
Yeah, soul
Yeah.
smithing.
of Olympus.
That could be a background, yeah.
Soul smithing, yeah.
If you
With
take the
that, we
feat
can
for it.
create magical items. And
Soul forger.
make the weapons that we shall wield.
Yep, I'm totally into it.
Frostborn hungers. Alright, well, for now, it seems to simply struggle with its identity. Alright.
As dumb as it sounds, like out of character, and maybe possibly meta gaming here, or definitely meta gaming here. If maybe Hirandor poking it, as there's some form of connection. You know, if he's connected to the Great Silver, then maybe, you know, through that direction. I don't know. I am
So-
just ballparking here.
So what does Hirandor think about this? What would he like to attempt?
I am thinking that Hirandor is like, this thing seems really unresponsive. What if I give it a nudge, with a foot, just kind of pushes it a little.
Step on the
Like-
dragon.
No, just just kind of
Poke it.
push it, poke it, yeah, like literally, in human terms, like put a finger out, like index finger, and then just push its shoulder a little bit, like.
Yeah, Hirandor could touch it and try to sense if there's anything going on. I mean, weirder things have happened.
That is true. Hirandor will poke the dragon,
All
the
right,
skeletal dragon.
Give me a... I don't think any of your backgrounds would fit for anything like this, so give me a d20, your level, and wisdom.
Do you have a poker background?
What background?
You just
No background.
Just
Oh, okay. Sorry.
tell us what
No,
the
that's fair.
talking background.
Hirandor doesn't feel anything. It's bone. It feels like bone.
He's satisfied.
nice.
He's not magical like these people.
But some blood might weaken, yes.
Its teeth are still sharp.
No, Hirandor, come back. I need you for something.
Calm yourself.
I am not kidding, though. Blood might actually work. It was silver once. If it can gain some form of strength from an actual live silver, it might work.
Hirandor kind of looks between Talia and Orin, actually.
Oren wasn't listening. They are sitting around their
sure.
campfire to the south.
It's like hard to ignore the dead.
Yeah,
and
he's
watching.
just making a flan. He doesn't listen.
Alright, he'll just look at Talia then, like,
What would Talia think of this idea of giving it blood?
That
Her
could be a magical background.
Sure.
Plus intelligence for this, as you're trying to double check the theory in a sense.
Yes, I was going to whisper and consult with the creepy bottle.
Sure.
Knows much of necromancy.
Creepy bottle, what do you think of this idea?
oh god. Alright. Would Talia knowing Hirandor's unique thing help?
Because she does, in fact, know it. Yeah.
Yes, that happened during downtime, so.
I just muddy the water more. Like, it usually would work, but... Oh.
Still, it will help her work out the theory, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm querying, is maybe that helps a smidge.
Yes, level, ability modifier, and then... level, ability modifier,
And
background.
a magical background.
Background, and then I get my +2.
Alright.
do it.
That's not a 20, but it might as well have been.
Thank you, magic bottle.
Let's see. Talia has maybe heard about some controversial studies about the Tennum essence and whatnot, and those at least agree that there is... Most of that seems to be in the blood, kind of. Of course, it's not really a physical phenomenon, but if you had to narrow it down to a physical part of the Tennum body that it might be in, it would be in the blood. And if this thing indeed was a silver at one point, which it probably was if it is in fact what it seems to be, then maybe that could do something, but it would still need some significant magical assistance in the form of a ritual of sorts. Although with that knowledge, and perhaps Hirandor being a volunteer donator of some silver essence blood, Anrakyn does think that he could make it a bit easier on him. It will still be a ritual, however, he could expend an appropriate spell rather than his class feature.
As essentially Talia goes through explaining the magical theorems.
Could Graham do what Graham does and be the one to expend the spell to let Anrakyn do the ritual?
Yes.
Being the font of power.
Anrakyn nods, yes, that could work. We must form a circle immediately.
I'm going to say yes, but Graham will also roll in addition to Anrakyn, and if that roll goes to shit, then the ritual might have adverse effects.
Well, you probably won't roll shit, right?
I mean, probably not. Right?
It's
a roll. There's a very big variance.
I know. But like, what's shit in this regard? Is it a 2?
I have a +10 to it.
Okay. So what would be shit in this regard, Sheep?
It would be, with that kind of bonus, probably basically a negative one, a natural one.
Oh, a natural one. Okay, then that's... What's the chance of that happening?
Well,
Your character always rolls
Well, I mean,
some
the
rituals.
maths is actually quiet.
Well, Anrakyn will look to Hirandor, and you will see sort of a gleam in his eye. He's a little bit psyched about this. He's excited about this, yes. To apply his knowledge in such a way. He has not done exactly this before, but he knows the theory.
And you've just been given an info dump from Talia of how it works.
Hirandor's still not happy about it, but I mean,
Moves forward with his dagger out.
I mean, it could to help, right?
We would have a more clear idea what is going on. It seems like there is nothing evil coming from this thing. More like something trying to establish a connection from somewhere. If this can be established, we might know more of this creature's purpose. And the theory is sound. You are Silver, one of the few, and your essence can help revitalize this thing.
I will try to monitor the ritual to keep everything... make sure nothing bad happens.
Yes, that seems reasonable to me.
He kind of frowns and then like extends a claw out to give the sacrifice, just kind of frowning a little.
Yeah, the Anrakyn will have his dagger, and he will have a small, flask or something, and then he will do a quick incision and tap Hirandor with a little bit of blood. And then he will, put that very carefully down, and then he'll start preparing the circle, basically, of power to infuse this thing. Draw the lines.
What about that circle?
Yeah,
that one book you read once.
That book has helped me a lot. The runes needed, the theory, double checking everything, and then slowly but surely, starting to make the ritual come alive, as it were.
Talia double checking his work, and then just keeping an eye on the magic. Everything goes forward.
You're the one holding up the barrier or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, tell the others, step back a bit for this. All right.
Yeah, they're pretty much like, I don't know what's going on there, and I don't want to know.
Chantings of doom begin.
Etc.
There's a bell, like, dong.
Yep. The bell tolls, and the gate opens.
Graham begins to like glow with darkness, really.
Yep.
Like that sort of purple, sick miasma.
Yep. As Anrakyn begins the incantations.
What I will donate shall be the zombie form, because that's my most life-giving spell. Or to basically give it all the third level spell here, the highest level, to bring it the what do you call it? Sustenance, being sustained by the power. Be the most fitting.
Yep.
All right, then I would like some things in order.
Yeah.
I would like Graham to roll me a d20 with a magical background, and most likely intelligence, since this is a kind of skill-based thing.
That's my magical spell skill, so that is indeed what I would use, and I am a... don't even remember what it's called. my dead background, basically, is my magical background.
All right.
So that will be a 15.
Ooh, it's rough, but that is enough to give Anrakyn the power required to actually start the ritual proper. In which case, next I would like a roll from Hirandor. Basically just Constitution. As the ritual starts, he does feel not only the blood loss, but maybe even a little bit more.
I need more power! As he draws from Hirandor.
So level plus con?
Level plus con, yes. All right.
All his essence being drained out of him.
Is he being more emaciated?
He does feel weakened indeed. Lose 2 recoveries.
Sweet.
Granted to your dragon brother.
Anrakyn, I would like your roll then.
Alright.
Magical intelligence.
19? I do have a reroll if that is not enough.
Yeah, 19 would not be a success.
Alright, let's try again. 27.
27, however, does it, and handily. You have the feeling that if you rolled lower than like 25, if the ritual didn't go as well, that Hirandor would have felt even even worse from this.
Yeah,
But
you
as it turns out, that is plenty. And you do manage to basically deposit the blood and the energy within on the skeletal body of this dragon. And well, the ritual takes a bit. In case it would be an hour.
As you see, like, the dark, deathly energies from Graham as he's glowing, and then like this silvery, with like streaks of red in it for the blood coming from Hirandor, like gathering in front of Anrakyn.
Out of the wound.
Yeah, out of the wound, like flowing, gathering in orbs and weird icons and like runes hovering in front of Anrakyn, and then as he slowly starts to direct them onto the skeleton, as they sort of latch onto it, like infusing the body with symbols, and almost like I would imagine maybe like you almost see like spectral flesh almost take form on it.
Yeah, during the hour-long ritual, or the exactly 1 hour-long ritual, you do see that both Oren and Galen, the elf, are looking towards you somewhat worriedly. Oren mostly to Hirandor, and Galen mostly towards the two necromancers. But it does seem like the gnome handford is basically saying to them, no, just let them work, this is interesting, and I don't know what's going to happen.
He's taking notes.
Oh, this is great!
Basically.
Talia would be taking notes, but she's just focusing on making sure this thing works.
Gil-Galad is calling the cops.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, with Talia's assistance, Anrakyn suffers no harm from this never-done-before ritual that he just invented.
That's what we do.
It is what we
Champion people.
do.
We're big
Yeah.
people.
We can invent rituals.
And the result is subtle, but it is there, as the skeletal dragon does not change in appearance, but in pose, in behavior, perhaps. While he was, before this, just kind of standing there, looking empty into the infinite distance, he does seem more aware. Not completely sentient, perhaps, but certainly to the point where he's looking at you. He's not really displaying emotion, but maybe tilting his head a bit. His skeletal tail waving around a bit, which it hasn't done before. As it sits down, takes a good long moment to look at each of you, really, not speaking or anything. So it then turns towards Hirandor, and with a claw, scratches into the dirty floor a single word. The word is...
Anrakyn smiles to himself, leaning on his staff. Looks over to Graham. It worked!
Graham is like, he's like a little exhausted after having been drained from the power, so he's just sort of still sitting there a little bit, like his miasma disappearing slowly, like almost like smoking or some magical residue still leaking slightly.
And you can see is this like is this a grimace a bit? Are you all right, my friend?
He just nods. He's done this before.
Good. I'm so excited, though. This was a hunch, and it actually worked. Looks over to Hirandor. You're not gonna acknowledge your brother?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, he looks at the skeletal dragon. Kind of quirks his head a little, looks at the floor, looks at the dragon, looks at the floor, looks at the dragon, and goes, "Brother." It kind of tilts his head to the other side, like, is it going to do anything? What? Kind of just observing it, really. He's not sure what to do at all in this situation. There is an undead dragon looking at him.
So the connection might still be weak, but as Anrakyn said, it would be possible that we have allowed soul from the past, a silver guardian, to once again take up control of its body from whatever place that you go to when you die.
Anrakyn nods. In this case, this would be the first sentient guardian I've ever heard of.
I don't think the guardian here is sentient, but the thing controlling it. A soul from another world. It recognizes you. So what's your Hirandor?
He nods and says, I thought if he was silver and anything did happen, it would know. And would would know of me. Kind of looks at, furrows his brow like he's kind of confused at what he just said as well. Like he's not sure how to word it.
The skeleton will write once again. It does not write fast, but with very deliberate stroke, like writing the jagged runes of the draconic script that has become the language of this continent. And writes the following.
Die!
Fool!
We shall take over. Yeah.
Hmm.
He nods and says, he nods and says, I think the ritual definitely worked. The blood must have allowed him to feel our connection. Kind of quirks an eyebrow, looking for like confirmation from all the smart people around. And also at the dragon that obviously knows.
I think it perhaps worked as a sort of magnet, or perhaps a trace that it could follow, a scent to pick up on, a beacon, yes.
A light in the darkness of seeking out beyond your own plane.
Yes, a streak of silver in the abyss, as it were.
Hirandor nods. He understands this terminology.
Once.
He's only got average intelligence, alright?
Astronomicon.
Yes, the Astronomicon.
Yes.
Anrakyn looks at it. Is it... it seems the connection is sort of more stable now, I guess, and maybe it will grow more stable as it sort of... I mean, as I see it, we have basically built a bridge for this thing, you know, a bridge of blood and necromancy has been built.
A hole in the wall that you know, that parts the world of the living and the dead,
Yeah, this,
allowing one to reach the other.
yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah, Anrakyn still like having his hypersensitive necromantic senses extended, would think that this is about as stable and strong as is plausible, really. It'll never be a true, like, walking, talking dragon again, but communication is at least possible. Like a permanent seance in a sense.
Great. We need like a Ouija board or something for
Oh
it.
god.
Looks at it and looks to the Elderling contemplatively.
Yeah.
Oh.
Eyes on the prize,
Connections
people.
can be made between this world and another.
I'm not even surprised anymore, honestly, at this point.
So a larger hole could be made.
Blood
rift.
is ill. You want to open a gate and summon forth the legions.
Anrakyn would also think that this kind of connection is only possible very close to the point where the creature actually died.
We need to to travel to a phase of my past.
But a gate could be made, Graham. Yes. We can open.
Hirandor
I'm
looks at it.
impressed by Anrakyn's skill in this. He's glad his friend is ambitious enough. It is dire
Anrakyn-
times now, with humanity being in peril.
He has learned a whole lot since he started traveling, and he's
With
only.
the knowledge held in this blade,
Hmm.
perhaps.
We could do so many things. We still need to talk to the damn blade somehow. Well, looks at it. It seems that this is as powerful as the connection can be made, and it would only work here in Sterling Hole, most likely. Still, we have given it a modicum of sentience and purpose, I guess. Should probably keep an eye on it. It might try to communicate more. He looks at it, not now, feel, frowns. He doesn't know what that signifies, but Hirandor seemed to nod sagely, so maybe he does.
Grimwald will note that he believes it means that it doesn't know that who Hirandor is, but it can sense it. It has the ability to gather information from this world and not just rely on what it has.
Mm-hmm.
Hirandor look to the skeletal dragon and say, do you know where she is, Mother?